Recording. All right. Okay. Well, how it usually goes, it goes play. My counterpart would say no, and then I would say games. But this is 2 times in a row, Cos. You might get. Thank you. You're gonna get fired. Oh, but he would say, "You don't pay me," and I was like, "Look here, I pay you with my love." In future,
best form of payment.
Thank you. We definitely need that in this life. But this is Robert. This has been a very interesting weekend. I don't know when this will go up, but I am no Casanova. I am just Robert today. This weekend's been crazy. Shout out to Josh and Jordan. But let me get into that character. Let me focus. Today we have a very, very special guest. Let's just say I was thinking about this I think when we had that conversation, I was like, this is such a dope conversation. I wanted to have this, and it was a year in the making. My kind of like nemesis in the field, in a sense.
Yeah, I don't know. We can get into that.
We'll get into that. We have Cassandra.
Cassandra.
Got to put the emphasis because I butchered it a couple times, and I don't want to
be
that
Cassandra,
guy.
Not to be mixed up with Cassandra.
It's Cassandra.
Cassandra. Thank you.
Say it with your chest, people. But I want to introduce her, and I just want to say thank you for coming on, for the good work that you do. And what I'm alluding to is, if we have enough in the budget, lightning, dun, dun, dun. She is
I'm an attorney.
And with a specialization in?
Family law.
Dun, dun, dun. And she deals a lot with divorce.
Divorce, yeah. So divorce and custody disputes.
So, obviously, as you know, I'm a therapist at nature, so my goal is to keep families together. So I say you'll never see Cassandra. And then they do. Please educate us on all of that.
Well, I mean, you can consult with an attorney prior to getting married, so... That's one way to avoid seeing me down the road. But most people don't do that. What I'm referring to is prenups, premarital agreements.
Oh, dang.
Kanye said it himself. We want prenup.
Oh, I like this. Wait.
Y'all have to mix that up.
Please,
in there somehow.
Please, I like this.
Do a cut and then just play that part of the song.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so... You can get a prenup that would help the divorce process down the road. If you get divorced, there's so much stigma around prenups, especially with people our age. I mean, I have a good handful of friends who've gotten married. And I'm like, don't say I didn't tell you. I love you both. I'm so happy.
So you're that person when it comes to your
I'm
friends.
that person.
You know what?
But it's okay. I mean, I don't think like any of them have gotten prenups, but...
Well, as we get... Why do I have this? Anywho, let's just get straight into it. Why focus on that? Why law? Why all of this? Humble beginnings.
Let's see. Well, in high school, I knew I wanted to be a lawyer. I didn't know what type of lawyer, but I knew that I wanted to go to college and then one day end up in law school. I didn't know what type of law. Even going into law school, I wasn't sure what type of law I wanted to practice. So where I'm at now, I kind of fell into it, to be honest. I graduated law school, then I worked for a judge right out of law school. And she was the chief family law judge at the time. So all I saw was family law all the time.
Damn.
And then I passed the bar, and then the law firm I work for now reached out to me in their family law. So, and then I'm here.
Started from the bottom.
Yeah, I mean, literally, I don't think I met. There's no attorneys in my family, which is kind of rare. It's that kind of just like cycle of like most attorneys I know, like my dad's an attorney, my mom's an attorney. Like they
okay,
have
okay.
other attorneys in their family. So for me, it was pretty cool to be like, I'm one of the first ever in my family. Yeah, but so that's the thing. It's like you go to law school and everyone's like, oh, my this person in my family's an attorney and this and that, and I'm like, well, this is literally my first time ever meeting people. I don't even think I'd met a lawyer before I had gone to law school, to be honest.
So did you just like wake up one day, just like boom, lawyer, attorney? That's what I want to do.
In high school, I had a teacher, and I took legal studies, was actually a course they offered, and I was really into it, and I enjoyed it. I like learning about it. So that's kind of what sparked my interest.
All right. So, one day, more people will listen. I have lots of plans, trust me. For any like young girls or anyone who, or not even we said young girls, just anyone in general interested in law. Like, is there anything you can talk about like law school? Because like when I talk about therapy, I try to talk about like the ins and outs of like what's the real hustle and bustle of it. Of like, all right, if you get a psychology degree, your undergrad, you ain't gonna make no money. Mm-hmm. And like you have to figure out what your niche is to do that. So a lot of people get like, how can I say, they get like afraid of like law school and things like that. Like how was like that process for you? Was it difficult? Was it easy? Could almost anyone do it? Like if they put that grit and determination to it.
Yeah, I mean, I think if anyone who wants to work hard towards something, I mean, that alone will get you through it. I mean, even me, like going into law school, I was like so nervous. I'm like, damn, there's all these smart people in one place. And, I was intimidated myself, like, dang. But I've always been the type of person that's like, no matter what, even if I may not be as intelligent as someone, I know I'll work harder than them. That's like my thing. I'm like, I may not be, speaking eloquently or all the things, but I know at the end of the day I'll work harder than other people. And that's how I am with my clients too. I'm like, I'm going to be probably way overly prepared because I want to be prepared for everything. I'll get it all done. Mm-hmm. We'll be ready. Like, on those days we're going to court or whatever. But yeah, I mean, law school, I mean, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of reading, a lot of writing.
Can you skim it? Like...
I mean, sometimes you have to. Like there aren't enough hours in the day. When you're in law school, and then especially your first year, your 1L year, you're just like, what am I even reading? Like, what does that mean? And you're like, I still got about 500 more pages I got to read before tomorrow.
Okay. Oh, that's true. It's like, upper like psych stuff. They'd be like, read this about this. And I'll be like, all right, let me read, let me skim read, the important piece. Boop, boop, boop. Perfect.
Yeah, let me get the gist.
All right. So, well, we're going to fast forward. Appreciate that. I'm curious, like most people are, what is the day in the life of an attorney? Like, dealing with people, all that jam. Bless us with that.
Well, for me, especially in family law, domestic relations, it's a lot of hand-holding just because there's so many emotions involved with divorce. It's like the legal part of it is difficult, but then on top of it, you have all these emotions. Yeah. Versus like other types of law, you're not necessarily talking to your client every day, getting updates, like how parenting time went, how this went. Oh. Sometimes people are getting divorced and living in the same house still. Like, so there, it's a lot of hand holding, and it's totally understandable. If I hired someone to help me through this process, it's good for me to know all these little things, because that a lot of time fuels, the reason why someone wants to make a certain decision for their case. So a lot. So there's a lot of emails and a lot of calls from clients. So just making myself available to clients. So yeah, lots of phone calls. responding to emails. It ebbs and flows. So if you have a hearing coming up, you're preparing for that, gathering evidence. There's a lot of writing. I write a lot, draft documents. Yeah, lots of reading and writing. More so writing, a lot of emails, and making myself available. Talking to other attorneys about, who are opposing attorneys, opposing counsel.
All right, well...
It's not like I'm in court every day. It's not what everyone thinks. It's a lot of at a computer.
Okay. See, that's what I think. You're, like, in your office taking calls. You're like, yes, I will take your case. And then, like, you're like, pantsuit, like, no, he's the father. That's definitely more. But
for sure. That'd be fun, though.
Wait, have you ever got, like, hey, I'm not gang affiliated, but have you ever got, like, brazy with a judge? You're like, hey, my client didn't do this.
Oh, no, that's like, after working for a judge, it's like, you've got to be,
okay.
You got to stay professional at all times.
Fair.
The judges, they call the shots, so.
Have you, yes, HIPAA, all this other stuff. Can you talk about, like, judge treatment? Have you ever felt like a judge treated you or your clients ever, like, unfairly? Or do you look like a judge track record or something like that for something?
Well, it's interesting for me because I worked for a judge as a clerk. I also knew the other judges, and now and worked for them. Like if my judge was gone and another judge needed a clerk, so needed someone else like in the courtroom, then I would just like go help out. So I know a lot of the judges that I'm appearing in front of because I used to work with them. So that's kind of cool. So they're kind of like, oh, it's Cassandra. But then at the same time, I'm like, okay, now I got to be like, on my game in front of them just because, they know me. But other counties, like, I don't know the that was one particular county I worked in. And then other counties, I don't know the judges as well. And each judge is different. That's the thing that's crazy. It's like each judge is different. They each have a different demeanor. They have a different level of... Some judges are more willing to listen, whereas other judges kind of already know how they want to rule and try to, like, speed you up or... So it's hard. I mean, I've only been practicing law for 3 years, but as time goes on, it's like, okay, I'm going to be in front of this judge. I need to make sure I do these specific things, or this is what they like. I know they like, a longer hearing memo or something like that. Some judges are, like, super strict about being professional. Like, every time, make sure you stand up. Make sure you always say your honor. So each judge is different.
Okay. All right. So, kind of shifting just a little bit. I'm almost in the territory of all opinions, no facts, because I want to get that feel and those feels. I'm curious, what does divorce mean to you, just like flatly? Because everyone, like, there's so much stigma around it, right? But I want people to hear from you because you work with that, you work with a lot of people. What does divorce mean to you? Like,
yeah, I mean, divorce, one, is a really difficult process. It takes almost up to a year. So it's like when I get a new client, a lot of people come to you and they're like, oh no, this is going to be super easy. We're on the same page about everything. And I'm like, that is great. I'd love to hear it. And I'm happy to hear it. I'll believe you. But there may be some hiccups and some disagreements. Okay. Because at the same time, if my client comes into it and says, this is all I want, I also have to be like, well, you can also have this, this, and this. If this, they're like, I don't want the house. I don't want this and that. It's like, well, these are your rights, and this is what you could get. If you just want to be done with it, we can do this however you want to do it. Okay. But I also need to inform them of all their rights and all the things that they could get. If they don't want it, that's fine. They call the shots, But I just need to make sure that they're making informed decisions.
Okay.
What was your original question?
Oh no, what does the divorce mean?
Oh yeah, so divorce one's a really difficult process, but you know, because it's almost like you're losing a person, you're losing a big part of your life.
Yeah,
it's like the ultimate breakup. But you know what? There's a lot of healing in it too. You start, you know, people are devastated when they come to me. They're really sad that they've gotten to a point in their relationship where they've decided that they're done. So it's a hard process, but once you get through it, it's almost a healing process as well. You're like starting a new chapter.
Yeah, and like it kind of like also going off of that, the healing aspect, because I feel like y'all participate in that, even though you're seen as like the boogeyman under the covers or the bed or things like that, where it's kind of like, you know, depending upon, I just know, because you're working really hard doing all those things for your clients. I'm pretty sure all people in your field do that, but like just that pure genuine energy, I feel like that's hard to replicate. And it's kind of like I'm just curious now, like, do you feel like after the process, and we're talking about like the good clients, the ones that are doing the work, do you feel like, do they ever like thank you, or like do you have any like
Of course. Like, I get thank you cards, you know, holiday cards. That was a cool one I got one time. One of my clients, he gave me like a holiday card with him and his daughter on it. Pulled at my heartstrings. But yeah, no, people are thankful for sure. They're especially thankful when they get the outcome that they wanted. No, but I mean, at the end of the day, most cases settle. You don't always end up going. Most of the time, you don't end up going to a final trial because people start to get nervous. Because when, you know, leading up to a trial, you say, okay, these are all the possible outcomes. This is your best day in court, and this is your worst day in court.
Yeah.
All of these things could happen. I'm going to put on the best case I can put on, but ultimately, I'm not the one making the decision. It's going to be a judge. So when someone knows what their best day in court is versus their worst day in court, then you compromise in the middle. And that's where you end up settling. When I say settling, I mean you guys, the people reach an agreement on property and liabilities and child support, spousal support. There's a bunch of different things that are addressed via divorce.
Okay.
But people are so if you go to trials are rough because you go to trial, you put hours and hours in, and then you get an outcome, and your client may or may not be happy with it. And if they're not happy with it, you know, they want to blame someone.
Do they come for you?
No, I mean, they're just like, maybe we should have done this or that.
I want my money back?
I mean, people could say that, yeah.
Wait,
I mean, all attorneys have insurance. And actually, I think criminal defense attorneys and family law, domestic relations attorneys have some of the, like, highest amount of complaints to the bar. Just because of the nature of, you know, what you're doing. So that's why you got to be very thorough. Every time I talk to a client on the phone, I then, like, write an email, note to file, to put notes of everything we talked about. You have to cover yourself. We call it CYAs, cover yet.
We can say ass.
Ass, okay. So CYAs, cover your ass.
It says explicit on the thing for a reason. Because I couldn't be myself if I couldn't cuss. We're like, yes. Like, I love when I find it when the client knows that I'm like, yeah, I do cuss.
Yeah, you got to feel it out at first, though, some clients. And then I'm like, oh, okay.
I'm like, fuck. Wait, you said fuck? Oh, I can use that word because I'm using your language.
Exactly.
Cover my ass. Fuck. Oh, my God. Why are you doing this?
Client said fuck first.
Yes. It's very true. I just didn't spout that. You know, actually, what that gets me to, actually, this leads me to this, where I know in the line of work, because, same thing, people can complain about me, and things like that. I gotta check my file. I don't
People,
know.
I mean, for the most part, though, like, clients, if my client doesn't like me, they can fire me. It's not like they have to keep me. And I can fire them if I don't like them as a client. It goes both ways. Obviously, that never happens, but...
She's awesome.
No, but I mean, it's a relationship. That's why you have like an initial consult with someone, and they're free to go talk to as many attorneys as they want to feel out, because each attorney has a different style too, yeah, and clients want a certain type of attorney and envision. Some people want a woman over a male attorney because they think it might give them an advantage. Psh.
Does it?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay.
But sometimes people want that, At the end of the day, it's their process. It's their life, so they can decide what they want to decide. You just have to set client expectations at the beginning.
Okay.
So I say I tell people how it is from the beginning. Like, this is how I would handle your case. And you don't have to agree with that. The person's also the one, they make all the decisions at the end of the day. I tell them all the options. I tell them which option they should go with, and then they get to decide what option they want to do. And then I do a CYA. I said I advise them to pick option A. They went with B. Uh-huh. We'll see if they come back and they're like, "Why didn't we pick option A again?"
Because they had an expectation.
Because you were having a rough week.
That expectation is a killer. Oh my gosh, I am learning that so well. That's not just the law. Expectations are a killer. I'm not even gonna front. I'll get dragged, whatever. So, hopefully, not putting bad juju in my future. Let's just say hypothetically in the future, get married, got some kids. I'm not gonna lie. I would want full custody of my children, and let's just say she just became a horrible woman, and I'm just like, it's one law.
So funny when people get married, have these long relations. They're the worst person in the world.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know. I can't believe I was in this relationship. It was like a dream. I was tricked. Yeah. I would say, like, from a guy's perspective, I think, or actually, I'm assuming you know your judge before you find your attorney, right?
No, it's different in every county.
See, I was thinking you know your judge, and for me, I would, like, optically, I would want a female attorney, because the optics be like, yeah, this is a great man. I'm like, yeah, see, tell, boom, bada bing. Optics matters. I think it does. That's just how I would move. I'm like, that works for me. But,
all right. I don't know if there's a right or a wrong answer to that, so.
But anywho, I wanted to at least talk about this because also I wanted to open up some of like the humanness of what you do and who you are, because I know when it comes to what I do, like taking people's darkest, twisted secrets, all that stuff, and listening to that, like, it's a toll 40 hours a week, and like giving like your full self of that. I just wonder, how do you deal with like being in family court, being in divorce, being in that environment? Like, does that have any toll on you when it comes to just like your personal life, or just navigating through things? Do you have like tinted lenses when you look at different things because you're seeing like the darker sides of like people?
Yeah, without a doubt, it takes a toll on you. I try really hard to keep the two worlds separate, which is a hard thing to do when, you're doing something for 40 hours a week. You're thinking about these, like, all right, this is their first weekend of parenting time or something, and it's like, I'm like thinking of these people and how their weekends are going and these other things. But I try really hard to keep them separate, and to, when I'm not at work, to not think about work. But yeah, it's, you're helping people through some hard stuff. I mean, you totally know. You see you're the person I tell people to go to. I'm like, I'm not a therapist, so clients think I'm their therapist.
What? You're not a therapist.
They're like, oh shoot. I'm like, yeah, you should probably get one of those, because I mean, I don't have that knowledge, and I know that's not what I went to law school for, was to become a therapist. So I'm like, they need to go to you for that side of things. But at the end of the day, to a certain extent, I think I have to be that person for these people, because I need to know those things, when you're having a hard week or something. Just because certain times too, if someone's making a big decision about their case, but I know they're having like a really rough week.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, we can hold off on this. I want you to, make the right decision and make a decision that you're happy with. At the end of the day, I just want my client to be happy with the decisions we made. So with emotions and stuff running high, it's hard to be like, all right, are you just making this decision because you're mad or you're sad?
You be like you're straight up like that. I'm like, you seem very disgruntled, David. You need to slow down.
No, I think I don't necessarily like say that straight up. And every person is so different. That's the thing too. Each client is so different, and you have to learn their personalities and how. I mean, it's like I'm building trust with these people as well.
Okay.
I want them to trust that whatever I advise them to do, it'll benefit them the most.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm like, I'm starting these new relationships with clients. I mean, same thing with you. It's like you meet someone and you need to build their trust. You need to get that rapport. You need them to feel comfortable speaking candidly with you.
For me, I feel like I have time where I'm like, all right. Well, actually, no, depending upon, I would say, when people come in, they're definitely in crisis. But sometimes the crisis is not like, all right, bombs detonating tomorrow, or this is they all have large implications. But when someone comes to see you, you have the law involved. Not saying the law doesn't involve me as well, but it's just more intense. Where I feel like I have time to work with this person where we can help change and stabilize that. And my goodness,
it's a lot.
I know. So I know for me, I'm big on staying my quirky myself, because I also I feel like with my talent I'm able to separate a lot more, but I feel like there's still those tethers, and I think in more of my professional career I've worked on not relying too much on that when it comes to all right, I know I can compartmentalize all of this, and noticing that I do need to take that time, or I'm like, I actually need to go to the gym, or you know what, let me keep up the Sour Patch Kids Thursday.
Nice, I like that. Yeah, you got to take care of yourself. I mean, that's the thing. You're helping people through hard things, but you can't forget to take care of yourself. And when I take care of myself, in turn, I'm going to end up being a better attorney for these people. If I'm stressed out about their life and my own life, that's too much for everybody.
Y'all hear that? That's therapy right there. See, she got 2 fucking degrees right there. Licensed therapist.
Yeah, right.
All-star attorney.
No, it's a lot. I guess my final answer. I keep them. I try to keep them separate for my own mental.
So, when it comes to now we're actually no, we'll do this. We'll stay in Law Town, because
we're staying in Law Town.
We'll stay in
Legal Town.
We'll stay. Yeah. All right. You work in one of our great branches of our government, so. 1 second.
Is this a pop quiz?
No. Why would I do that to you? That's horrible. No. We're gonna. What do you call it? Where's it at? Oh my goodness. So, whoa, not what I'm looking for. Where? So, while I'm pulling this up, do you know a producer / rapper named by Dr. Dre?
Of course.
Okay. You stay up to date, I know. You know what happened to him?
Recently?
Yeah. Well, he recently got a divorce.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
And he's a $1 billion man.
Yeah.
So,
he's very successful.
Want your opinion on this. So, Dr. Dre and his lovely life of wife.
And life.
Yeah, exactly. Of whatever, 16 plus years. She was with him when he was in the mud.
Dang.
So she been around.
She's a real one.
Real one. Anywho, so they're separating. Fair. So, Bezos did it. All these people's done it.
A lot of people do it.
Exactly. So, this is what she's asking for. And they're...
Do you know what state they're in? Probably like California or
I'll
something.
say California. See? Ask those questions.
Jurisdiction, people.
It matters.
It does, but yeah.
So, this is what she's asking for. And I also want, your thoughts on this. I'm so glad you don't know anything about this. It's perfect. So, she's asking for laundry and cleaning, $10K a month.
All right.
Clothes a month, 1,300. No, I just pushed that number. 1,000. Oh, why can 135,000
a month?
A month. There we go. Wow. I don't know why I butchered that. Education tuition, $60K. She's also trying to be an attorney. For entertainment, she wants close to $1 million a month. For charitable donations, she wants $125K. And then for the mortgage, she wants $1K a month. And then she wants $20K for telephone, cell phones, and emails.
$20K, like 20000.
Yes, a month. So in all, she wants $2.5 million a month.
A month in spousal support. Ultimately, that's spousal support.
Oh yeah.
$2.5 million a month.
So Dr. Dre, $1 billion guy. So just from that reaction,
his money's gonna be gone quick if he has to pay that. Shoot. Okay. He's not gonna be able to pay it for that long.
So I was listening to it. See, I don't want to be tainted by other pods and things like that, but this person was saying that, we're looking at it through the lenses of, broke people's eyes. Where, we ain't making that kind of money. We're just like, $250 million is a lot of money.
That's wild.
Do you think she's asking for too much? And do you think a judge will give that to her?
Well, the laws state by state are different. So what one state thinks is equitable, a different state may think something different. Okay. Two, with spousal support, at least in Oregon, one of the concepts is that someone should be able to maintain their standard of living. Mm-hmm. So if her standard of living is she really spending $2.5 million a month? Technically, that's her standard of living that she's lived.
Wait.
So let me
please look at all this. Please look at this. Please look at all that.
Laundry and cleaning. I mean, laundry and cleaning could be
what?
A maid or something, or a nanny, or I'm not.
What? You need $1 million for entertainment?
Yeah, what does that what falls under that?
Nothing is that entertaining for $1 million.
Maybe she's including travel and. See, I'm playing devil's advocate because I could tell you wanted me to be like, that's crazy.
No. I just want you to be yourself. Well, I was just saying initial reactions is $2.5 million.
Yeah, that's crazy. No, it's wild though. I've represented some people and you're just whoa, you spend that much a month? High asset cases. Whew. Some people are getting amounts you couldn't even imagine per month. Mm-hmm. It's possible. What's Dr. At the same time, if there's not enough money to go around at the end of the day, so even if that is her standard of living, that she spends $2.5 million a month, that's insane, first of all.
She wants him to give him money so she can donate to charity. That makes no sense.
And it's not he can regulate that.
What?
It's not like he could be so that $125,000, did you actually donate it? It's not like she could be. It's not like she's required.
If I would be that Bennett, I would be yo, what charities are we doing?
What charity do we pick this month?
Exactly. If you make me pay this.
That's wild. It'll settle. They aren't going to go to trial over that. It'll settle.
Okay.
You always, it's like with any negotiation. You start high,
Okay.
knowing that he's gonna look at that number and laugh, like all of us are right now. Like, she's crazy. But I'm sure she started high, knowing that, you never start off with what you actually are comfortable with. You start higher.
Noted. Noted. I want to. So we had 2 more parts before we conclude. So I want to tone it down just a little bit because I feel like you've been like the perfect person to educate me on this. And then I have some more things after this. But this changed the mood just a little bit. So because I hate being one of those people, like, for example, like when Nipsey Hussle died, I knew nothing about Nipsey Hussle. And then, like, I just watch people who I know aren't Nipsey Hussle fans be like, man, he's the greatest rapper alive. And I'm just like, weren't you just talking about Tekashi 6ix9ine? All right. I will always have respect and admiration. And I don't like being, like, that type of person where I'm just like, what? I never knew anything about this person. Like, I knew of this person.
Yeah.
But the reason why I want to set you up for this is because recently we had the passing of Ruth.
RBG.
Yes. And, like, for me, at first I was, like, doing research. And I was like, let me make sure I know all this shit so I can look like I know this shit. But I was like, nah, I feel like I want it to be authentic. Like, I knew she sat on our Supreme Justice. And, like, I know she was the only woman for, like, a period of time. Because we have
Sotomayor.
Yeah.
I'm probably pronouncing that incorrectly.
Me too. That's why I stopped.
Yeah. No, she's a badass, too.
And, like, I think for me, I was like, I'm late to the party again. I knew of her. I wish I would have taken the time to know more about her, but I just know that she was, like, doing good work from, like, Angela Rye, all these other people, things like that. AOC talked about her and things like that, where it's kind of like, man, we're losing that seat, and we're losing just another influential, powerful, like, woman in law who, like, helped. And I was just wondering, not to put you on the spot, or maybe you don't know as much as as I do, but, like, how are you taking that? Like, what does she mean for the legal process? Please educate myself.
Yeah. I mean, she's an amazing woman. When she went to law school, it's like there weren't a lot of women in law school. Now it's about equal. At least the law school I went to, in terms of males and females. So I feel like she paved the way for so many things, just by her actions. And then, incredible woman, like, she paved the way for women in the law. And then on top of that, like, every single person in the U.S. has been affected by the decisions that she made. I mean, she did so much for women's equality in general. And then to have, I mean, it's crazy. Our Supreme Court makes decisions about things that affects everybody's life. And most people don't know what's going on in the Supreme Court, which is fine. If you're not a lawyer, you don't even necessarily, like, understand the process of what it is and how powerful these people are. So the fact that at one point it was all white men making decisions for a country made up of people who are not all white men, that's crazy. So when there did start to be women on the Supreme Court, it's like, of course there needs to be women, need to be a part of, our voices need to be heard if we're making decisions about them. Anyway, she's done a ton in just her work as a Supreme Court justice, obviously. People always say, like, the I dissent thing, which means about her, because so the Supreme Court, pretty much whoever they make it, obviously they don't all agree on everything.
They know.
And majority ends up winning. But if you didn't agree with the decision, you write your dissenting opinion. And so she wrote some just, like, badass dissenting opinions. She's like, I dissent. This is the decision the Supreme Court made. I don't agree with them, and now let me tell you why. This is my analysis of the law, and this is why I think I'm right, but the other justices don't agree with me. So that's why she's known for that. Is she wrote some like very great dissenting opinions.
Okay, there we go. I guess for me, just being like a person who like, I feel like people like, I think that's one of our crutches in like our society, where it's kind of like people just think voting for the president is the only thing. Where like literally, when you vote for the president in 2 years, you need to be voting for, you know, House, Senate, and all that stuff. Like those people who affect child support, you know, picking your judges, picking your DAs, where it's kind of like we have 3 branches of government, and like I am like bubbling. You have presidential, legislative, judicial.
Executive.
Oh, there we go. I already said it twice. See, and like I definitely know there's 3. Whereas it's kind of like, it's like if we would do like a Jimmy Kimmel like style video and go downtown.
Oh my God, you should do that. Let's
fail.
just go out on MLK.
Yeah, they'd be like, Obama. It's like, no, like, do you know, like, and I could be wrong about this. I believe, Congress has the purse, they have like, all
I mean,
money.
It's, in general, just important to vote. I mean, when Donald Trump was elected, one of the very first things I was like, he is going to be able to appoint a Supreme Court justice.
That's what me and my family were like, all like, yes.
And that's scary. It's like these people have a huge amount. I mean, Americans just in general, the general population just doesn't necessarily understand the power that these people have. And then our president gets to pick someone who is going to she was 87 and she was on the bench for, once you appoint someone to the Supreme Court, that's going to be their job for the rest of their life. Yeah. They're never going to do anything else. They're like at the peak of like, you can't be, I mean, I guess president, but everyone needs to vote.
I'm curious, who do you think, even though I don't know, well, obviously they have to be a judge, so I feel like it's a terrible question to ask. I was like, who do you think should fill, obviously, what type of person do you think needs to fill that seat? You don't have to give like a name, or like, I personally feel like, in my opinion, because of how America works, I think we should write up new like expectations of our Supreme Court, where it's kind of like not pandering, but like there should be a inclusion and diversity like 100%. Minimum. Or like, what type of representation do you think belongs next on that seat? Obviously, I'm gonna say it has to be a woman, and then from there we can go from there. I
think a woman of color. I mean, that would be my top pick. But without a doubt, a woman. I don't know if it'll be a woman, though. I mean, the last appointed Supreme Court justice was a white man, so.
Yeah.
We don't need to talk about him. That was in the media for long enough.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I mean, I think that would be dope if it was a woman of color. A black woman of color. Whew. Both of us are like, that's what we need. But yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen. It'll be really interesting, freaking I was gonna start talking about Mitch McConnell, but I won't even start talking about him.
Oh, Mitch McConnell? You talking about the Crypt Creeper himself?
Let's not go down these rabbit holes.
That's fair.
Yeah, so my pick for Supreme Court justice
would be a black woman.
That would be dope. I don't know if
you think
if
Dawn's
we'll get there,
gonna get it right? Do you think Dawn's gonna
Mr. Cheeto? Of course he's not gonna get it right. Hopefully hopefully it won't happen that fast. We're pretty close to the election, so.
Even though we'll probably I feel confident saying this, even though one of these days we'll touch upon politics on here, but one thing I did hear, hopefully it's not true, is I heard Mitch McConnell and Donald Trump, she wasn't even dead a day, and he's like, well, we've already got 3 people in line. I'm just like, yo, can you even say I know she disagreed with everything you've done, but like, can you at least be like, man,
respect her for what she's done.
Exactly.
For all Americans.
And that's like but yes, I want to open that Pandora's box, but like, hopefully, yes, yeah, they replace her with more representation or as equal. But as we do a couple segues, because looking at time is perfect. You know, Kamala Harris jumped off the PJ in those Tims. That's a great seg. Hey, those Tims, those great value
so
Tims.
Dope.
Oh my god! oh my god! We're not gonna talk about it. That was hilarious.
That was great.
Oh, she
Love
had the
it.
Tims on. Oh my gosh. Anywho, let's go to where I shine the greatest. Talking about relationships, all that good stuff. And we kind of deal with like similar things, and like I believe everything happens for a reason, because like we're on more than one wavelength than you think. I'm just curious, when because like you are a strong woman, you got yourself together, you have a high profile job, like when it comes to like dating and stuff like that, what do you see? Like what do you think in the standards of like what, like how's a guy supposed to approach you and all that other stuff? Do you think how's that work for you?
You know, I go off a lot of genuine. I feel like you meet someone and you kind of just know if they're genuine or not. That to me is huge. People just have to. I feel like you kind of know right off the bat. You're kind of just like, oh man, I'm new to this game, so. I can't show all of my cards. I'm just kidding.
Hey, we can.
I mean, with relationships in general, based off of my own personal and divorcing people, I'll do the two, because obviously, you know, I see their relationships. I see what things started to not work, but also taking it to my own personal life, it's like communication is huge. Having the hard conversations is huge. You know, I can't tell you how many people I'm like, what, you never talked about this? It's like, how do you just avoided that conversation? Like, I know it's a difficult conversation, but you have to talk about the hard stuff, and you got to communicate and you got to listen. It goes both ways, you know.
Yeah, let's just I agree with you 1,000%. And like the reason why I kind of leave this like open ended is because I feel like what you're saying, no one really talks about that, because when you first like meet a person, it's like, oh my goodness, you're like, Shawty, she got a fatty, and she got ooh wee, and you be like, you didn't know I could sing, girl. And like it's like that, and then you get to like a Drake and Rihanna type song where like I butchered. I was so much funnier in my head, but anywho, but like you know how it goes like to those places where it's kind of like, I hate how much I love you. There we go.
Yeah, there you go.
And like it's weird because like in like my past relationships and things like that, I've always like I'll just say people I've dealt with in the past, like I around like 22, 24 when I started changing my mindset. I started doing like relationship check-ins where like we'll be like going strong for like 6-7 months, and I'm like, hey shawty, let's go do something. And then like in the middle of us hanging out, I was like, how are things going? And like I just know like chicks I've dealt with, they're like mad surprised that I asked that. I'm like, yo,
yeah, like let's talk about this.
Why do you think that is so like off-putting, or like just people are just not like, it's just like they look at you like an oddball, like, huh, you gonna ask me like what we doing, like how do you think we can break that down?
I mean, one, I think it has to also just do with our generation and like our culture now, you know. It's like all the social media stuff, everything's just like people gloss over so much. They only want to show the best parts of themselves. So when people, especially when you're in a relationship, it's like, you know, you try to be this person all the time, but it's like you got to talk about the hard stuff. Yeah, I mean, talking is just important in general. A lot of people don't have the hard conversations, but and then when you do and you try to have it, like you said, people are like, "Whoa,
Like what?
we're talking about this."
You mad that I leave my laundry out? You don't say nothing. Yeah, I'm mad now. You know? And I'm so glad you talked about social media because I like to do my best on social media to show you the good, the bad, and the ugly. Obviously, there's like art to it because for me at least, and I can only speak for myself, is I like to show you like obviously me winning
Number one.
because I got some haters and I'm glad they still follow me. Let's just say that that's because I want you to see me shine so you can stargaze from the sideline. But I also like to show like I'm not feeling up for it today, or like I'll post a quote where I'm like it's probably like what is this, or like I post like man it sucks, or like I lost at this, because I feel like if you don't do that, and especially like when I was like in relationships, obviously I'm not gonna post an argument, that's fucking dumb, but like when I know I'm ignoring the fuck out of them, not all the time, but in like a tasteful way, like fuck you, I like to show people that I'm like I'm hilarious and she's pissed off.
Oh my gosh.
but it's like tastefully, but because I think that is a side, because I think there's this couple I follow, they're called like DeVal and some, oh my gosh, that's horrible. But anyway, this is like dope relationship, a football player and like his wife, he got into like drugs or something like that, or overdose, whatever. I'm butchering the story, all feelings, no facts. And like she stayed with him, blah blah blah. He didn't do anything spooky or things like that. And I think he didn't manage his money well. But anyway, but like they are like such a dope family unit where like they have their 3 sons, they have their mom and dad living with them, and like they have a production they're working on, and like they have like the picture perfect relationship that I would want, where he's like, man, I'm about to tear that up tonight, from like, yo, fellas, like we have to do this, we have to do that, where like they're showing so much different range, and like it's so dope where I'm kind of like, when you go to their page, obviously you're gonna laugh, you're gonna make yourself think, you're gonna like I'm gonna say cry. Guys don't cry, but all that, and it's just kind of like when we always talk about like, when I'll just say this, like mental health. We always talk about like mental health. It's like, when will we do it? I like when someone's finally gonna be like, let's do something different with like relationships.
Yeah, with my experience, I think that it's when you're in a relationship, I think it's important to be like, hey, I can't fix everything for you. You got to do the work yourself too. So when you're in a relationship with someone, I think mental health is, so important. And I still think there's a stigma around like people going to a therapist and other things like that. So I think we all need to hold our partners accountable, and then also just like your friends too, It's like if I have friends and I see them going through a hard time, like obviously I'm there, I'm ride or die, I got you no matter what. But also you need to hold your friends accountable and be like, hey, I'm always here for you, but I don't have all the answers. Maybe you should, talk to a therapist or something.
Yeah.
But you got to do that in all your relationships. You got to hold your friends accountable, because your partner can't do it all for you at the end of the day. They're a human too. They got to take care of themselves. They got to take care of themselves first. I think it's important to step up for your friends, and just like if your friend's going through a hard time, be able to check in and say, hey,
I love where you're going with this, because it's like you have to put your partner on a pedestal, but you also have to know that you need to chop down that pedestal at the same time, where I think as a society we struggle with two things can be true at the same time, where like I can be mad at you but I can still be in love with you. It's almost 100%. Like that. It's almost kind of like that corny meme where it's raining and the couple sitting on the bench, and like he's holding an umbrella for his lady and he's getting rained on and he's mad at her. Like literally, like two things can be true at the same time. It's like, I may not want to talk to you right now, but like I need my space. And it's just, you're right. We give our partners a lot of like, media, Disney, and just our overall like role models. Because like I'll be straight up, I feel like Hollywood and a lot of different places don't show us the real like relationships, because like we get like the, oh my gosh, I'm gonna run over to her house and do this, but we want to see what happens after the end credits. Like that,
Yeah.
like that's the real stuff that's not like really talked about. And I think that robs us, because in our music, and I'm not trying to say this is the downfall of relationships, but it's like subliminal like messaging where it's kind of like, oh, he's supposed to be my everything. If I was talking to my nieces, I'd be like, no, he not.
Yeah.
No.
You're an independent woman. You don't need no man.
Exactly. He's supposed to compliment you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and like, it's like the could we say like, could I say like it's called codependency? No, interdependent?
I think codependency.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
And like, I think that's what I wish, like, grand scheme, like, once this gets off the grounds, I would love to go into schools to talk to the kiddos because about like relationships, because like I think that's like so educational, and we're like really missing that, like telling kids like how to have meaningful relationships, not just like romantically, but like in all aspects.
For sure. Yeah. Friendships, relationships. Because at the end of the day, the person you're with, you know, they're your best friend. Or they should be. I would hope. Maybe not at first, but, like, that's what you're building. You're just, like, building a relationship. Yeah.
All right.
Well, it's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. So, if you could give any advice to anyone who is in relationships, what is the thing they need?
You're acting like I'm some relationship expert.
Oh yeah, remember you're a therapist. You told me.
Therapist / lawyer.
Exactly. You do it all.
Do it all. My advice. Okay. Right? Was that the question?
Yeah. Send us off with something from you. It doesn't have to be just from your profession. Just everything you've dealt with. What would you want people to know so they can create meaningful relationships?
Have the hard conversations that you don't want to have. That's what I said earlier too, but I think it's so true.
We're doubling down. Hard conversations.
Have them.
Well, I lied. I did have one more question. So, if I would get in trouble in the future,
you got me. This is such a classic. This is such a classic question. So, Cassandra, hypothetically, if this ever happened, can I call you? I'm like, yeah, hit me up.
I had to do that because every time, you're a therapist? Don't you psychoanalyze me? I'm just like, get the fuck out of here. What the fuck are you? But so, see, you see, people, it's not just me. I'm just not complaining about this. See, we just like, come on. See,
but the best is like, I got a cousin, my cousin's girl.
My cousin
and then it's like, or it's just like something not even my field of law. I'm like, I have no idea. I don't practice that type of law. Just because I'm a lawyer doesn't mean I know all the laws about everything.
Oh my goodness. This has been Play-Doh Games, and this has been a good conversation. Thank you for coming on, and what do you call it?
For having me.
No problem. I had to bring my nemesis on, and it seems like, hopefully everyone learned today that divorce is a process, all that stuff, and it's not it definitely is sticky, but sometimes that happens, and the wonderful people behind it. Yep, I'm here if you need me. Business cards in the bios. Do I get like 10%? No, it's fine. This has been Play-Doh Games.